All right. I'm going to ask a question that I really need for you to think about this question. I don't want you to just, because at every level of growth that you're in, whatever, how many years you've been in real estate, no matter what, even if you're a professional athlete, this question needs to be asked, because that's how we know how we're going to take it up another notch. And it could be in any aspect of your life, but let's talk about it in business. And as people are jumping in, they'll hear this recording later. So here's the question. What are your most dominant weaknesses? What are your most dominant weaknesses? And everybody knows. And the reason why we need to identify that before we get into 2022, because that really puts our plan into motion in how we're going to fine tune this engine that we are. Okay. And what I want to be talking about with everybody here is fine tuning this engine that we are, the salesperson. You know, we're in a nutty business. Okay. We have to, you know, deal with people sometimes we don't really like. We have to do things that we don't really like. Hey, there they are. Welcome. There they are. They're here. The Idaho group. Okay, now watch. The question was, what are your most dominant weaknesses? I want everybody to write one thing down on a piece of paper, just whatever that one thing is. What is that one weakness that you have? Okay. Because I'm going to read a little bit about this. What's his name? I always want to say Lindsay Buckingham. Marcus Buckingham is a researcher, and we had him come to one of the events many years ago. It was a very expensive speaker, but we want to understand what those are. And there's 3 words that we want to do when we find out. We want to capture it, we want to clarify it, and we want to confirm it. Okay. Clarify, capture, and confirm what that weakness is. Because if we can actually work on that, what that weakness is, I mean, we're going to have an explosive 2022. And some of you go, well, I just started, Bill, so I'm weak all over the place. But you about, here's what I hear a lot of time. I'm not a morning person. Okay, well, there's an affirmation. I'm not a morning person. I'm just not awake until 11 o'clock. Well, guess what, man? There's a weakness. Okay, so you're going to have to find out, what is this recording you keep telling yourself all the time that causes you to have this opinion of yourself. Okay. It says you have to gain control over the toxic activities that fill your day. I'm going to repeat that. You need to regain control over the toxic activities that fill your day. And in our business, let's look at a toxic activity. You're starting to do something, a phone rings and you freak out and you got to go now, stop what you're doing. Everything I'm saying is use common sense, okay? But we're so addicted to this movement of our focus that we're not in the moment. And that could be a major weakness for us as we get better at what we're doing. This whole thing of multitasking is not cool anymore, okay? It never was really, but in the 80s, I guess 90s, multitasking was a really big deal thing. So I'm writing down, it says, I want to give you the quote that I wanted to give you. This is, after going through the denial phase, it says, when you're confronted with a weakening activity, you first look for ways to avoid doing it. Okay. So whatever that weakening activity is, your creative avoidance kicks in and you don't want to do it. Listen, I'm there with you. I started training myself to make the phone call first to the person I don't ever want to talk to. That one call that is a pain in the ass call, the person's going to be not nice, make that the first call. If you're working out and you hate an exercise, make that the first exercise. Okay, and that's that. Now you're confronting the weakness. But we go into this denial phase. It says, then finally, after going through the denial phase where you just don't want to do it, and the hope phase, someone will rescue you from the task. Okay. And that's when you go, you know what? I think I might have to do my laundry right now. All these ideas come to your head. All this avoidance comes into mind. It's so amazing. Guys, if you could just sit back and watch yourself in situations and just observe yourself, you'll see how whacked out we are. That's what I want you to do. When you get to the point where you can actually pull back a little bit and observe your activity at that moment in time, because half the battle, when I was working with, I was on the board of directors of recovery ministry. Elizabeth, we're talking about this when we were at dinner that one time, and I was listening to the stories, and it's amazing what goes on when you have an addiction. We all have some sort of addiction that we need to get rid of if we want to blow 2022 out of the water. You'll know you. And if you're working with me, we're going to find out what that is. I'll share you mine.